A couple of years ago, Skittles had zombie ones for Halloween. Do you remember that? And the flavor was quote unquote zombie flesh. So like you'd take a handful of them and it was like Skittle roulette. I mean, I don't know what, human flesh tastes like or anything.
They all taste like grape.
More like shittles. Am I right?
Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, the show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and ignoring anything we may know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if that's a show that we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Intelligence. Intelligence has gone 12 episodes over 2 seasons, originally on Sky 1 in England. Today we're talking about episode 1, which is called episode number 1.1, originally airing February 21st, 2020. So to get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me, as always, the guys, Ferg, Nick, Joe, and Gordo. What's going on, guys?
Jelly bean. Jelly bean. Jelly
Anybody
bean.
seen Rachel?
Did y'all have a hunch about 9/11? Do you know how happy I was when this episode just was like, anyway, so 9/11, 5 minutes later, anyway, so 9/11. I was like, holy shit, it's my show.
There wasn't that much 9/11.
I mean, it wasn't as much as the Leaning Tower or whatever, or Looming Tower or whatever,
So, yeah, I mean, well, for the amount of shows where Joe's brought up 9/11 versus this one where there's, like, actual reason to, I guess this is a lot heavier.
There's always reason.
But yeah, Intelligence, before watching it for this, has anyone seen it or even knew about the show?
No.
Negative. No, not at all, nothing.
No, I wish I didn't see it this time.
All right, so 0 people have seen it up until now. Nick, you picked it. Anything in particular that made you want to pick this one?
No, not really. I just kind of wanted to randomize a selection. Usually I pick something I like that I think you guys would like. I've never seen this. I saw it pop up. I'd never heard of it. It's got David Schwimmer in it, and I wanted to see where it went.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. So the opening scene, right off the bat, It says that it's a Peacock original, and that's a lie. It's not a Peacock original. It originally aired in England on Sky 1.
Should have said Peacock exclusive instead of original.
Yeah.
Did it say original or exclusive?
It said original.
There is a way you can do, because when you, for Trailer Park Boys, for instance, is referenced as Netflix original, but it was on for almost 20 years on another
Same with
network.
Arrested Development.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works.
I don't understand what their metrics are for calling it a original, but apparently it's very loose. So.
You think maybe they did some shows exclusively for the streaming product?
Or a U.S. exclusive, maybe?
You know what? The only thing, and I didn't do enough research, so it's kind of neither here nor there, but so a lot of times when I'm doing like my notes to like peel it back for you guys, I'll try to find like a transcript or the script of the show. This way, if I have to like copy quotes down, I can just pull from there instead of typing them all out. And when I was reading through this, like the dialect and a lot of the wording was completely off on like multiple sites. So I didn't know if there was like a reshoot for the Americanized version that they did versus like maybe an original Sky One version that we didn't see. Because it was way different.
So the difference is actually pretty simple. When it's a Netflix original, it means Netflix owns all the distribution rights to it at that point. So it's not like when something gets syndicated on ABC or something like that.
Okay.
It becomes an ABC original. That's not how it is. Netflix owns all the distribution to it, and that's why it's now an original.
But why is it an original and not an exclusive? That makes
Because they bought it.
sense.
Because they bought it.
But that's not what original means.
Doesn't matter. It's my property.
Yeah.
It's what they say it means, yeah.
But if you own something...
But it's not originally your property.
Not to make this really long, but you buy something, you can claim it as your own because you are the owner.
Right. Exclusively. but anyways.
Yeah, but you can call it whatever you want.
I guess you could argue, though, it's not exclusively on Netflix because it was on another network at one point. So original might make more sense.
But moving past that, I guess it's just like an original shot of the office where they're at, and it says GCHQ. It's the Center for Cybersecurity. Quick description of the place, guys. Like, how would you describe this building that they work at?
It's like a modern MI5 James Bond type of building. It's kind of like clearly very secure and dark and sterile.
Yeah, and then the outside shots when they're in like the hallways and stuff like that is just typical of any office building, really.
Men in Black without the aliens.
I can see that. It's very high tech.
I was going to say it's similar to Ghosted.
Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, I can see it being very Ghosted because I feel like it's like all the things we described, but with much more of a modern flair,
And
like Ghosted.
even the cast is all just like Ghosted. It's like very similar, like to the Office parts when they're in Ghosted.
It's it's like television's interpretation of what secure buildings are like.
Yeah, it's very much like a by the numbers. Like,
Yeah, they make them a lot more techie than they really are.
Same thing with like NCIS.
Right. And to clue people in, Ghosted is a show that we covered months and months ago on here, which was like a Fox show starring Craig Robinson and Adam Scott. If you want to hear that, go back into the archives and give that a listen.
For a Halloween spooktacular!
I worked in a building like this before where you needed like key cards to get in through every door. There was security at the front, blah, 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 all this different stuff. But like the key card things never worked. And the only time the security person ever said a word to me or looked up was to be like, you shouldn't be smoking on the property. It's like, I think you're overpaid. I don't think you're very secure. And I think if somebody comes in here with a tank, you're running away, lady.
I have to program those key cards for work. They're like the bane of my existence because 90% of my calls, my card doesn't work.
Key cards.
I can't get in this door. Can you give me access? No, you're not supposed to be in there.
I love the idea of you giving them sass. Be like, I'm not going to fucking do it. No.
Well, so anyways, as we go through this office, we first meet Mary, Tuva, and Joseph. And they're all just sitting there working together. And usually I mention a lot of the characters. If there's a character that we see throughout the episode that you know, by all means, bring them up.
I just want to say this is like a weird trope, and I can't tell if they're making fun of it or if they're just adding to it, where like there's the weirdo girl in the office. Like there's the girl in Criminal Minds who's the hacker with all the pencils and the makeup, and there's like the gothy looking girl in the other show. Like this show immediately jumps into like, oh, and here's the smart hacker girl who's like,
Yeah, I never put that
alternative
together,
looking.
actually, but it is a good point. Yeah.
They do a lot of that, especially in that hacker universe type thing. And I wanted to mention that Joseph, one of the three, the male character, he's played by Nick Mohammed. He's actually the creator of the show, so I figured that was important to note. But other than that, I don't really know any of them like from other things. But they're all English actors too, so I don't really know a lot of them.
Yeah, I looked up a lot of these people, and they're not in a ton of stuff we would know. But Nick Mohammed is in the newest Chicken Run movie, rather. So when I looked that up,
Limbo.
I almost said Chicken Limbo, which is big fun, but I was thinking of Chicken Run, which is I don't want to be a pie.
I don't
which
want
is
to be a pie.
something we think about and say so often in 2022. I can't believe it.
How often
in this group
does
it comes
Chicken
up.
Run come up for you?
I was trying to remember because
A lot.
he is in a lot of stuff, but like, does anybody watch Ted Lasso?
No, I've always meant to, but I haven't.
Ted Lasso is great, and he's in that, and that's just what it was. I just now looked it up, but
We should definitely cover that for the show because it's a show that people seem to really love, and I haven't seen it, and that seems like a good excuse for us all to actually watch
for
it.
sure.
Yeah,
Is that Apple TV?
it is Apple TV.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
I think that's one of those shows that now there's so many streaming channels. Like you're just like, oh, it's one I don't have the channels for. I'm not paying for it. We'll get to it someday.
That's all the Paramount Plus ones.
And Nick Mohammed, just to give people a visualization, what is he, like Indian or like his descendant? He's English, but just to kind of paint this picture.
Indian, Middle Eastern.
And then we've
British.
already talked about Tuva a little bit. She's she's a Asian girl that's a little alternative in the way she looks. Mary kind of has this crazy cat lady look.
Yeah, that's a good description of her.
Like I don't know how to best describe her. It kind of gives off
me
that
of one
vibe.
of the teachers from Harry Potter, but the name's escaping me right now. And it's
The first scene is the three of them all sitting there talking, and Tuva's looking for a flash drive, which she identified it because there's a picture of a vagina on it, and they're like in the flash drive is a file or is it glued on top? She's like both. Like very odd first line of the show.
This is one of those weird things where they were like, I think, trying to create some witty wordplay, and it doesn't work super well. Or it's like the picture is mine, the vagina isn't. It's just like it was a real who's on first scenario that just didn't work for me.
see, I didn't think it missed that hard. I thought it was funny.
It was just odd. I mean, I didn't think strongly one way or the other, I guess. And their boss, Christine Cranfield, who goes by Chris, walks by and she says, sorry, do you think terrorists sit around chatting all day? Get back to work. She's a kind of a bigger role. She looked very familiar, but I didn't bother to look her up, so I'm not sure what she's from, but I have a feeling that she's probably been in a thing or two I've seen.
it reminded me of M from James Bond.
Dame Judi Dench. Yeah.
From that little walkthrough with her, we get this kind of fast pan throughout the entire office, which kind of shoots out of the building into space. And that's when we see the title of the show, which is Intelligence.
Satellite. Sorry.
What's wrong with you?
And right from that intro, we cut to a conference room, and it's just the same 4 people, the 3 workers, and then Chris, the boss, are all together. And this is like the first time they do it. They do it a lot through the episode. It's this fake security camera. They're just using the camera to look like security footage. They do it a lot in this show. What do you think about that? I think it's okay in doses, but I think they overused it here a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, I don't mind it in like a transition here and there, but like because it kept being spliced into the scene, it was really weird.
I feel like digital technology has ruined a lot of things where it's like, it's so easy now that people just lean on it. Like, it almost is like, you know, in The Office when Dwight's like, here's the same picture in Matrix style. Like, whenever I see this stuff, I'm just like, all right, and here we go.
I just don't understand its use because it doesn't do anything for the plot. Like Gordo said, I would understand if it was a transition thing because it would be like almost like Superstore with the showing the customers doing weird shit.
It's just to be like, we're cybersecurity. It's all digital, you know?
Yeah.
It's I feel like it's not any different than like in the early 90s where like they would do the fake record with red button in the corner to like look like handheld cams. It's the same kind of idea.
The only way it would be worse if then also text bubbles came up on the screen during it.
What are you doing?
And then the Big Show's like, my daughter doesn't want to live with me.
That's Mama's text message.
This is when Chris tells them that Jerry Bernstein from the NSA is coming to work with them as like an American liaison. And Joseph seems like he's like totally excited about it. As if like, I don't know if Jerry's some sort of an intelligence legend, but he was extremely excited like the idea that he was going to come and work with them. And he mentions that they've been exchanging emails or were exchanging emails on 9/11.
Back and forth on 9/11. That is a great email day.
And Mary's instinctual question is he a terrorist? Like there is like he was just directly texting a terrorist that day or emailing.
And then he finally comes in, we meet him, and they're playing Sharp Dressed Man by ZZ Top, so he immediately gains favor with me.
I loved that scene.
Yeah, at first though, like when they first introduce you to the character, he's at the airport, it's like that motion sidewalk, but it's an extreme close up on David Schwimmer's face. David Schwimmer is the one who plays Jerry. Did we say that already?
I don't think we mentioned Schwimmer yet. Yeah.
From Friends.
So yeah, David Schwimmer, who I would assume everyone best knows from Friends, is Ross. But yeah, it was like this really tight close up of his face. And yeah, he's listening to Sharp Dressed Man. And I'll say this got me. Not a lot of things like really made me like chuckle, but when they cut out from that and they show him on the motion like sidewalk thing, but he's just standing there with his 2 giant bags blocking the whole way, and there's a giant line behind him because he's oblivious to it.
He's taking the walkway as a ride. Yeah, that was the first laugh I got. Like a good laugh.
This was one of the very few times I laughed on this episode.
That I found funny.
It got me, but it tricked me on to like what his character was, because she right before she said, as long as he follows the rules. So I thought he was following the rules, like he was like a stickler. That's why he wasn't walking on it; he was standing. But no, he's just lazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, when you guys go to the airport where those are, do you guys stand on them or do you guys walk with it?
We walk.
Well, when I'm there, I'm going to work. So usually I'm walking because I'm trying to punch in. But
it's
says,
like escalators and those things that people don't understand. Walk right, stand left, or the other way around.
Other way around.
Yeah. Stand right, walk left.
I like
Stand
walking
right.
on them.
And nobody
it feels
knows
like I
how
have
to do
super
it.
speed.
If you ever go to like Park Street or Government Center, nobody fucking understands that, and it drives me insane. Stand on one side, let people walk by on the other, and it's a very simple concept.
The ones at Porter Square in Boston, not to get too regional, but the one in Porter Square is like a fucking 20-story length one. When people don't move on it, I used to always just be like, move! Just like the only time I'd ever like.
You're taught since elementary school. Walk to your right. Always walk to your fucking right.
Just you go around, like, it just makes space. If you're gonna stand there, you should make space to go have people up there. If you've got bags and luggage with you, put it in front of you, not to the side of you. I will kick your fucking bag down the escalator. I do not care.
I'm that asshole.
Well, you just lost a bag.
I'm gonna kick your fucking bag, bud.
My biggest pet peeve in stuff like that is when people are walking in crowded areas, whether it be the airport or the mall or something like that, and they don't know where they are. So instead of like being aware of that, they just stop dead in their tracks, even though there's someone who's like a half a foot behind them, and then you have to like stop short so you don't run right into somebody.
Yeah, so you don't just like hug them from behind out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Good way to start a conversation, though. Might meet a friend.
Hey, buddy.
That's how dogs do it.
They also sniff each other's buttholes.
If someone stops short in front of you, you might end up sniffing their butthole.
Depends on how low on the stairs you are, yeah. It works for them.
from there, we cut back to the meeting, and they're all doing like a rundown of what they've been up to. And when it's Joseph's turn, he kind of like towards the end of it, he mentions that he had been doing like a search of the browse history of Matthew McConaughey, which is something that they kind of went back to like 2 or 3 other times in this episode. It was like just a weird joke.
It's a weird joke that doesn't hit for me any of the times.
Me neither. And I'm not trying to say, like, I don't know, this actually hits better for me than if they were like, then Shriva, the newest TikTok singer or whatever. Like, because then you'd be like, okay, you're trying to make a time and place thing here that's never going to hold up. But like, Matthew McConaughey?
I think they did it because he's, I don't know, like, it is random.
Yeah, there's supposed to be like a bit of absurdity to it. Yeah.
I mean, I guess he's just big enough and still doing stuff that he's like relevant to all generations, which works, you know?
He's in those stupid car commercials.
He was like really eager to tell Joseph that Joseph was really eager to tell everyone what was in his search history. And I don't know. The boss, Chris, like didn't seem to care, but he's still like,
this boss seems like a fucking nightmare to work for, by the way.
yeah, she's just strict. I mean, the show's like a comedy, but if you think about like where they actually work, it's a very serious job. So you probably need someone who's kind of on top of things, and she's probably seen some shit.
She's Sam Eagle.
It's the British way. This is one of those things, though, that's probably accurate, right? Like, you want to think that everything is so, like, I don't want to say high and mighty, but, like, just, like, tight and... You want to think everybody's fucking James Bond. And it's not that. This is the central office of intelligence in this country or whatever, and it's a dude having an issue getting his chips out of the snack machine. Like, that's just what these places are. And everything good that happens is usually just a happy accident, which is kind of like a terrifying realization.
I wouldn't call them a happy accident. I would say that they're doing their jobs. It's just that they're normal people, not, robots.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you wouldn't call them chips, you'd call them crisps.
Unless they're French fries, then you'd call them chips.
Then you'd call them chips. From the chippy shop.
This type of stuff, we want to think that it's more like James Bond than it really is.
Right, it's not. I'm sure there's an aspect to it. I'm sure there's somebody right now with like a blowgun shooting darts into somebody and being like, 3, 2, 1, as they fall over, and you're like, holy shit, like a movie. But at the same point, there's somebody who's like, my Sega thing on my computer's not working, and they like stub their toe and then go get, mashed potatoes for lunch. Like, it's not the same level.
What?
Are you shutting on mashed potatoes for lunch? Because I do that often.
That was the weirdest. I don't.
Do you have mashed potatoes for lunch?
I've never had mashed potatoes for lunch ever.
I did today, actually, which is super weird.
See, there it is.
Yeah.
Some
Just
people
mashed potatoes?
No, I got one of those meatloaf dinners that comes with mashed potatoes.
And since Nick is in charge of our current U.S. security right now, I find this very alarming.
And not to talk about mashed potatoes for too long, but I don't know if this is something that I know or something I assume. Ferg, do you put ketchup in your mashed potatoes?
No, they're good on their own.
All right. It seems like something you do. But
I would do it if they're those flake mashed potatoes, because those suck. They need flavor.
I don't mind the flake ones.
they're fine. For what they are. For something
They're lacking in flavor. They need ketchup.
I've watched Jay's brother eat an inordinate amount of those flaked potatoes. Just like an overflowing pot, and he just fucking...
I was going to say, cooked or out of the box?
No,
or like
it's cooked,
Just
with milk in a bowl like cereal. Not eat it up.
I think it's important to note that this is the first time that they mention that the third floor printer isn't working, because that's something that comes up maybe 5,000 times throughout the episode. But in Mary's initial response is, oh no. But
how many printers are in this building?
Apparently one.
Like, that's what I don't understand.
No, they wouldn't. If there was only one, it would be the third floor printer. It would just be the printer.
Maybe the printer.
Right.
Good call, Ferg.
But that's the floor they work on.
If you look ahead to the episode when they are trying to find the bathroom, you probably don't want to go to a different floor.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues going from, it's a secure area, so it's probably a pain. But right around here is when they all get paged right around the same time. And Joseph's pager has it has a ringtone to it. Like, they were all pagers, right? I didn't know you could have a ringtone on a pager, but I also haven't owned a pager in 20 years.
Yeah.
I was going to say, did that mean that pager technology has just gotten crazier? And then we just, whoever uses them, if you're a doctor, you have a pager that's ringtones and crazy
You
stuff.
could do songs on our old GTE ones. They were monotone ones, though, whatever they're called.
And now you can use Asaraj by Las Ketchup.
Less ketchup on your mashed potatoes?
That's a song that Joseph had as his pager ringtone.
Oh, okay. That was the song? You looked up the song, huh? So who is that?
Yeah.
I just remember they used to give me shit for putting ketchup on my potato chips, and now they make ketchup chips.
Ketchup on potato chips is good.
I don't know if I've had that. I like the ridges, and I feel like that might hold in too much ketchup.
No, you just gotta like
A little dippy dip.
a little dip. A little dip.
I know we have these conversations all the time, so we always do like favorite flavors or whatever. When it comes to chips, I know this is probably expected of me. My favorite chip is plain.
I like plain. I'm a basic bitch.
I don't understand how you live your life eating the most boring tasting shit on the planet.
It's just like that's what potato chips like. I like the
Cheeseburgers,
potato.
plain. Crispex, plain potato chips. Hot dogs with probably nothing on them.
Usually.
To be fair, with whatever you're saying here, the chips is the one that does not bother me because regular potato chips are
They're
delicious.
good.
They were a thing for 100 years.
The only way I'm doing regular potato chips is if I'm stuffing them in a sandwich or a burger. Otherwise, I'm doing salt and vinegar.
But with a sandwich or a burger, I think you should have plain.
That's what I said.
No, I disagree. I think there are combinations. For instance, if you like a good tuna sandwich, I think salt and vinegar goes really good with that. You can do plain. Obviously, it's going to work, but there could be other options out there.
And I prefer kettle cooked chip.
I was gonna say the only plain chips that are really good is the kettle cooked ones or the baked
Peacock.
ones.
I'm not a fan of the kettle cooked, honestly. They
Really?
taste funny.
Those
They
are my
go
favorites.
a little go a long way.
Those are all I
It's true.
eat. I don't
No.
ever do anything but kettle cooked.
I go deaf when I eat them, and it destroys
Yes.
my gums.
Yes.
But I think what Joe said it. The wavy plain ruffles are really fantastic.
The Utz is the ones I go for.
Utz just all the Utz is good.
Those are
but-
very
yeah.
salty.
They are very salty, but with like a ham and cheese sandwich, a bunch of Utz ruffle chips is like a perfect companion.
All right, I think we've gone on about chips long enough.
No, let Gordo get it out. Gordo just want to say something for 40 minutes.
He did say.
He did say it.
I was gonna say about the Utz. I like the sour cream and onion.
Yeah, Utz sour cream and onion.
And moving on from the chip talk, after this meeting, well, from the page, they all have to like rush out, and you get this quick, almost like Reservoir Dog scene of them all walking down like the hallway in slow motion, which stops when Joseph has to go to the vending machine, maybe to get some crisps of his own. The only other little thing I want to note, though, is in the beginning and end of that scene, there's like some sort of a plate of brownies that they don't really address why that's part of the scene. Like Chris takes it away and puts it on the floor at the beginning, and then when they all rush out, Joseph runs and grabs it and like picks it up again.
This is a weird thing that has nothing to do with anything, but I don't know why. This might be the first show we've done where somebody has the main character has the same name as I do, and I keep getting thrown off when you say it, or keep being like, "Who?"
Hello?
We've been over this, but try being named Mike.
I will say Jay has a bit of a difference between Mike, Nick, Jason, and Joe. I think we have some of the most common, boring names in America where like it's hard to walk down the street without somebody saying that and you having to be like, wait, what?
That's why we're Ferg and Gordo.
Yep.
As a Jason, or Jay as I'm typically referred to as, it's a common enough name, but I'm not always around a lot of other Jays or Jasons. There's like maybe one or two in like big settings, but there's not going to be 20 of them in the room at the same time.
Reminds me of that time we were hanging out with Jason Voorhees and we were just so confused.
What a weird day.
My son is also named Bort.
It's a real Bort scenario. Yeah, looks like.
In any event, from there we cut to the outside, and that's when we see Jerry's taxi pull up, and he gets out, and Jerry's the one who's driving, and he says, like, can you grab my luggage, or do I need to do that too? And right off the bat, that's the first time we hear David Schwimmer as Jerry speak. The delivery of that line was very robotic and weird, and I don't know if you guys picked up on that the same way.
I think that's just David Schwimmer.
Now, we'll say this. The next, 10 minutes of this show are David Schwimmer just saying weird things, and I think the writing works very well, because some of them, it may just be like a throw it against the wall thing, but he says 30 different weird, slightly off-color things here, and I think that 15 of them are funny. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but he goes into rapid-fire mode here.
Yeah, I think the next thing he says, because Joseph runs down to meet him at the front lobby, and the first thing he says to him is does dwarfism run in your family? Such a weird,
blunt thing to say.
Yeah, it's just a very odd, at this point, and it kind of evolves throughout the episode.
But see, I don't think that's very funny, but then he makes him take his suitcase and then tells him not to use the wheels because it's very expensive, and that's funny, right? It's a weird hit or miss here.
I just liked how, their conversations have meant so much to Jerry, but he has no clue who Jerry is.
Yes.
Apparently it's all been one way.
He thought all those messages from him were spam.
Also, that was like 20 years ago when this show came out. It's not like this show takes place in 2004. Like, it'd be like, imagine somebody emailing you in 2001 and trying to keep track of that now. Like, it's so...
Oh, this show's old?
No, it's from like last year.
He's saying but the emails have been from like 9/11. So
yeah, he said they only emailed on 9/11.
I gotcha.
But yeah, it's a lot of weird things. I do like the thing with the bag where he told him not to roll it, but because he didn't want to ruin the wheels. And you got a nice little physical gag of him, Joseph, trying to like pick up the bag. It's a giant bag and get it over to the X-ray machine.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, realistically, right? If you were to always pick up a bag that heavy by the top, you're putting more of a strain on the handle. You're more likely to break it that way than if you were to just roll it.
The handle will definitely break.
This gives cadence to him not walking on the moving sidewalk. He didn't want to ruin his wheels.
I was going to say that's actually what happened to me the last time I came back from Poland. We bought a suitcase over there, and I went to pull it up, and the thing ripped because it was one of those huge ones. And it ripped, and then I just looked at my fiance, and I said, well, I guess I don't know my own strength. Congress going to ban these guns right here. But no, it was just,
you threw your passport into the ocean.
And you stay here, and I go home. Fuck off, bud.
Yeah, but yeah, annoying.
I was just going to say how, like, every time you go to, like, an airport, like, you see, like, the luggage store, and you're like, who's buying luggage? It's like a Jerry Seinfeld joke. Like, who buys luggage when you're already at the airport?
You'd be amazed how often they break.
It's like, oh, these things break, so you probably have to buy more because they're pieces of shit.
I think I've broken every piece of luggage I've ever owned at some point, so it makes sense.
I've refused to check a bag anytime I've ever flown, and I just shove as much as I can into my giant backpack and just play it by ear.
You're a minimalist, though. Like, I have 1,000 things I bring on vacation.
Well, I feel like if I'm going away for 4 or 5 days, I just need enough clothes to get through, and I'll bring, like, a tote bag to bring home, like, records or whatever, but...
One other thing I want to mention about this scene before we move past it is that Jerry has this gigantic, like, the largest container of jelly beans I've ever seen in my life.
Ugh.
Also, what a weird gift.
I hate jelly beans.
Wow, how? Really?
Yeah.
Like, you don't like Jelly Belly jelly beans? I think are like...
I don't like the consistency of jelly beans. Like,
I'm with Ferg on this one. I'd rather have
Same.
Skittles.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
Really?
They get stuck in your teeth. They don't taste that good. It's just all sugar. It's
I'm not a big candy eater, but like sometimes when you're at those stores where it's like a make your own bag of candy for like, $70 a pound, like I might just get like a small handful of Jelly Belly, like jelly beans, because like I always thought their flavors are like really spot on.
God, you're
Yeah,
so
but some of
boring.
their flavors, like I don't want to eat booger flavored jelly
Well,
beans. I
no,
don't see the
obviously
fun in
I'm not like filling up a bag of booger and farts. Yeah.
I'll take 1 pound of booger, sir.
I'll take booger and vomit.
Yeah. I'm just eating a bag of dog poop jelly beans.
See, all those sound disgusting, but I had a popcorn flavored one, and it was probably the most disgusting jelly bean I've ever eaten.
Yeah, it's butter flavored.
It's butter and burnt. Like they try to get like the burnt like aspect butter.
A couple of years ago, Skittles had zombie ones for Halloween. Do you remember that? And the way they did it is like, they taste like zombie flesh.
They were all like gray, right?
No, yeah, everyone was the same color, so you wouldn't know. And the flavor was quote unquote zombie flesh. So like you'd take a handful of them, and it was like Skittle roulette, like when I used to put the chocolates in the Skittles at my old work. And we bought them, and I was like, I love Skittles. This will be fun. And it didn't. I mean, I don't know what human flesh tastes like or anything.
They all taste like grape.
Yeah, so that would be the worst bag of Skittles ever. What a great joke! It's just grape and apple. Like fuck you, people. But yeah, they were disgusting, and we couldn't even finish a bag because you just got to a point where you're like, it was like Russian roulette. It was like the hammer clicking. Where you're like, oh, I don't want to bite into one anymore. More like shittles. Am I right?
Moving on.
Sorry.
So now we cut over to Chris, who's in her office, and she's trying to look up Jerry's file, but she can't gain any access because it's classified. So she calls down to her assistant, Evelyn, and she has her walk up to her office, which was clearly a power move because she's right there and she had her on the phone. And the stuff she asks her to do could have been a 2-second phone call, but she still insisted that she walked up, which goes back to what we were saying a little bit about this boss and like how she is.
This weirdly reminded me of Wings with the 2-story thing in the lockers when we watched Wings a while ago.
It was like right up top there. Yeah.
Speaking of
bring
9/11.
up the scene with David Schwimmer walks up to the thing, and they're checking all of his bags, and they think it's because he's a terrorist. Well, he asked them, is it because they think you're a terrorist?
Yeah, that's right after because.
I thought you skipped it. I'm sorry.
No. It cuts back to that. So that's when, Jerry and Joseph are standing where they were before, like right at the entranceway, and they're going to, go into the building, but they have to go through security first, which is like, the metal detector and security guard going through your stuff, kind of standard in a lot of big buildings. And I thought that was weird because Jerry seemed to have no idea what's going on or why it's happening. Like that's what, like you said, he thought maybe it's because Joseph is like of Indian potentially descent. I'm not sure exactly what he is.
Yeah, he makes a quote unquote is because you're foreign joke.
Yeah, and for someone who's worked for the NSA for 25 years, as he said, like he doesn't go into any secure buildings where there's a metal detector and security guard in the front of the building. He's that confused.
He probably doesn't usually go through with all of his luggage like that.
That's fair too, and I also like to think it's one of those things where, like, when I mentioned earlier the secure building I worked in, where like if the security guards sort of recognized you, they just were just like, yeah, whatever, go through. Like I imagine if you're like an NSA guy and you come in every morning with your coffee and your bagel for 10 years, they just don't question it. They just let you through.
Now we get into like them going into the main office, and that's when Jerry meets Chris for the first time. And Jerry's initial reaction is, I was expecting a guy. And he goes, do you prefer Chris or Christopher? Which that was really dumb. I thought was a little bit funny though. But again, is he just dumb? Like I don't understand his character.
I think it's funny because he's not joking.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You know
He
what I mean?
it was like
Yeah.
he like delivered it really serious.
I've already got the idea that he's the guy that they just sent over to get them
To get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling
And
too.
a lot more of that comes up later too. It's like he just sucks. And they
He's
wanna
like a
get rid of
hero
him.
in his own mind, and they're like, yeah, bud, you're the hero. We're going to send you over to England to crack this big case, and they're just happy to get him out of the office. He's the guy who orders like the weird flavored pizza, but no regular flavored pizzas.
Should have cut to like the NSA, like having an office party, like
Yeah.
'cause he's gone.
And like while he's talking to Chris, I kind of get the vibe that he's talking down to her a little bit, like in the initial conversation. I don't know if you guys got that same vibe, but he definitely spoke down like as if he was the boss now.
We all know that's Angela.
Hey, Angela.
Hey, Angela, this makes no sense at all. The two of us would ever even be attracted to each other, but let's talk about it for 7 years. Oh.
No, I think he's trying to establish dominance. He's coming in there. It's like prison. Take out the biggest dog in the yard.
But I also think to the point where we're saying like they got rid of him by saying like, hey, you're going to go over there and be this like, super important cog in this wheel. They probably told him he's in charge, right? So he's going under the impression.
No, he's definitely like a Dwight in the office. Like he's the guy that goes by the rule book and he thinks he's in charge and nobody respects him and he probably has no position of authority.
See, I don't get that from him. I don't get that he goes by the rule book.
There's a scene later on that like really, I think would explain that he's not that kind of guy because Dwight's not very self-aware. With Jerry's character, I feel like he's very fake it till you make it.
I was going to say the exact same quote. And are you talking about the whole bullet wound before we get to it?
No, it's something else, but yes, that too. I think that was another indicator, but there's something a little bit before, kind of a really quick scene that we'll get to in a little bit. But while Chris is trying to explain to him like where his office is and everything, he gets distracted because he sees Tuva for the first time. And
when I see Tuva, I wish there was just one Va.
Well, I wish it was 3Va.
He runs up to her and he's like, oh, so what OS are you using here? Is that Lysander 4.4? It's like 4.5. I don't know enough about, is that a real operating system? Nick, do you know?
Yeah, it's like a Nick.
As far as I know, it's not, no.
Also, when Tuva spoke, she only has a few lines throughout the episode. Sometimes she sounds kind of like she's deaf. No? Am I the only one who got that indicator?
I didn't notice that, no.
I don't think she plays a
pick
deaf
that.
character. I think
Can you emulate what you mean?
No, not in a way that wouldn't be highly offensive to a bunch of people, no.
How about instead of that, you emulate somebody who's doing a bit at a deaf comedy jam in 1993? Could you emulate that voice?
No, not in a way that wouldn't be wildly offensive to a lot of people.
Well, what about somebody who's a combination? Somebody who's doing a deaf comedy jam but also has hearing loss?
There's a no-win situation here, so we will move past that. Anyways,
Okay, fine. Do Bobcat Goldthwait then.
I've been working on it. I don't have it yet, so we'll have to figure out if there's another Bobcat show we could cover. For those of you who haven't listened back, we did Unhappily Ever After a couple weeks ago. Go back and listen to that in the archives.
Another podcast we're going to do called Jay's Wasted Lunch
I am
Breaks.
incapable of doing a Bobcat Goldthwait voice, but one day I'm working on it in the car when I'm alone. But one day I'll get it.
Yours is more like a Bobcat bronze weight.
Right now it's more like Bobcat Travolta. That's the problem. So it needs some work.
I'm okay with that. Can you please do it?
No, not yet. Not yet.
How's your John Travolta impression, though?
It's like so. It's not great. Moving on. This is when
hey,
Chris,
just doing a massage back here, buddy. Take off the towel.
moving on again. Moving on. This is when Chris tells Jerry that Tuva used to be one of Europe's most notorious hackers. And she said she still is, which apparently was a joke, but not really. Jerry obviously has like a thing for her, and he introduces himself. And he's like, oh, Jerry Bernstein. And she asks if that's Jewish. And he goes, wouldn't you like to know, flirt?
I do love that he added flirt. That was another one of the few genuine laughs in the show I got.
Yeah. And this is actually all the things he did. This is the thing that made me laugh the most. This is when Mary pops up, and his like honest reaction of both like shock and repulsion I thought that was pretty funny.
That's good. What's wrong with you?
He's like, what happened? It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but she looks like Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter. And if
she
you
does,
know anything about Harry Potter, like that's not.
It's a weird reference, but you know the scene in Me, Myself, and Irene where Jim Carrey's in like bad guy Jim Carrey mode, and he sees the albino
Hank.
kid, and he just like
Whitey.
goes off on him. That's what happens in this scene.
It's me, Milky.
He's just doing that impression. It's so painfully uncomfortable.
Yeah, Chris says that she's one of GCHQ's finest, and he's like, finest what?
Is this also true? Like, he's nominated for the Nobel Prize. He's like, did you win? No. It's like it's not such a humongous, crazy, limited club to be nominated.
I don't know. With movies, they love to throw that out there. Nominated for the Oscar, didn't win, but nominated for 3 Oscars. Nominated for
but in that
Oscars.
case, he asks if she won, and she's like, no. And I actually got cystitis that day, which I had to look it up. It's like an inflammation of the bladder. It's a lot like a UTI.
Ooh, rough day.
Yeah. So right around this point, Jerry kind of takes control of the room, and he's demanding like a specific temperature, and then he's shouting to like address everybody in the area, and he proclaims himself as the best possible resource for any of them. He's like, exploit me, punish me. Yeah. So at this point, again, this goes back to what we said before, this whole fake it till you make it. I think he's trying to just take over. Like, oh, I'm getting transferred here. I'm going to, I'm coming in as a liaison, but I'm going to find my way into like a leadership role, and, maybe this will be my final landing spot. That's the impression I got.
How stupid is he, though? He's American, and they're British, and he can't.
It's the British way.
Well, he also thought her name was Christopher. So, and he didn't understand how security works when you go into a building. So he's a very interesting character.
I think it's honestly respect. I think he just wants respect from anybody. I don't think he thinks he's going to take over here because he's not going to stay there forever. I mean, I guess there could be like an ambassador liaison between the US and UK type of position, but I think he just wants these people to respect him so he can feel sort of high and mighty for a little while, and then he'll move on to the next thing where he'll just keep doing that.
Well, it's tricky because like even like right after he's having like a little bit of dialogue with Chris, and you can see like in that moment, he's always kind of condescending when he talks to her, but he's oblivious to the fact that he's doing it. And she clearly hates his guts, but she's trying very hard to hide it and be respectful because they have to work together.
Yeah, they're like polar opposite characters. She's the stickler. He's a little more like, he wants, hey, come away from the important work you're doing. Come over here. Loosen up, everyone.
But you know what? It's weird because he's back and forth. It's just...
He is very back and forth.
His character is not defined yet. Like, I don't think he knows what that character is.
They don't know what he wants to be, and I don't understand his character even up to the very end of the episode.
I think the writing's a little loose, but I think he was also unsure of exactly how to play it. Like, he's like acting out the script, but he did not create the character of Jerry yet, and know that this guy's mannerisms and stuff.
I think I actually would have preferred if he was just always serious and like
probably
oblivious, but serious all the time.
Yeah, played it a little drier.
Yeah.
Like a Leslie Nielsen.
R.I.P.
Yeah, some deadpan.
Yeah, like deadpan, Leslie Nielsen, Naked Gun.
Yes, please.
So Leslie Nielsen from Golden Girls, R.I.P. Rue McClanahan.
R.I.P. everyone on Golden Girls now.
Yeah, but like mainly Rue McClanahan.
Oh,
the hot one.
Yeah, for those of you, again, who want to go back, listen to Mama's Family, yeah, and we'll find out about Joe's first celebrity crush.
And my last celebrity crush.
Yeah. So then we cut to the next day, and Chris walks into the office, and she sees that Jerry added a bunch of plants, and she tells him that they're going to die in 3 days, and he tells her that he sprayed them with glue so they're kind of mummified. And I'm like, wait, what? On 2 fronts. First off...
Buy fake plants.
Well, no, first... why is she saying that they're going to die in 3 days? What are you basing
There's
that
no
on?
sunlight.
Yeah, like, there's just no air or sunlight in there. So like, unless you have like a grow lamp on them, even
Well, it
if you
depends what
water
kind of
them.
plant it is, right? Aren't some plants fine without light?
All plants need at least some sunlight.
I thought some were okay, but I'm not a botanist, so.
I think like underwater ocean
Apparently.
plants.
And also the glue thing, is that real? Is that like a thing you can do to plants? Can you spray them with like some sort of a glue that just,
I can see how it would work.
I could see it, but I actually don't know.
I think they'd still get discolored, and then you just have a mummified brown plant.
yeah, I thought maybe like with with time, maybe it's
I like,
like
Ferg's description of a plant. It's just this.
this being holding its hand up for those of you who just listen.
This is not a video podcast.
Yeah.
2 of these.
But why didn't he just buy fake plants if he's going to mummify the real
I don't think
plant?
he thought it was going to be that underground.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he mentions, can we get some sunlight in here? Like, because he talks about the NSA office being totally different.
Yeah, he brings up the sunlight thing a couple times too, actually. And also as he's unpacking his like giant like American flag.
Well, you got to take one with you.
It made me think a little bit because this is a unique perspective from us, right? We see a lot of us all being from America. We see a lot of American shows where they're like introducing British characters. This is the one time we're seeing it from the other side where it's a British created show with like a strong American character in it. And you wonder like some of these mannerisms, is this how we're seen?
I think a lot of it is
Yeah.
that. It's like dumb bourgeois Americans showing up with their nationalism and their hot dogs.
Being forceful. Yeah.
Because we're a bunch of idiots.
That's an archetype character, though. They have that, like, stern, like, it's almost like a Ron Swanson, like, type of thing. Like, he would have an American flag if he traveled.
Jerry tries to get Joseph's attention and Jerry wants to know about the stain in the carpet, but Joseph's on the other side and he can't hear through the glass and he keeps telling him he can't hear him, but like it
This
never
goes on
dawns
too
on,
long.
it never dawns on Joseph to just go around.
It goes
he
on
works
too
there.
long.
Yeah, so this is a problem that this show has, is that things just go on a little bit too long, in my opinion. And this is one of them.
Agreed.
And I'm sure that we're going to get to the other one very short.
Gordo, your cat is very loud in the background right now.
I told you, she wants to come in and supervise.
I think she's a big fan of this show and she doesn't like where this podcast is going.
I don't like where this podcast is going.
Satellite.
I feel like sometimes the way the jokes drag on are intended, so there's like a little bit of awkwardness there. But yeah, I think in this case it could have been a much quicker thing, and you just realize to go around the glass. But the especially where Joseph's worked there for a while, it's not like he's new; he knows. Just go around. But in any event, yeah, it was because of the stain on the ground. And he didn't know what it was, and then he explains like, "Oh, this is where like was it like Evelyn used to work? No, Evelyn's the secretary, right?
I think so.
Oh, it was Elaine's office. I'm sorry. So he said this used to be Elaine's office, and she's on maternity leave right now. So it's basically insinuating that the big stain in the carpet is from when her water broke.
Evelyn's the secretary.
Yes. And you cut over and you see Joseph like on his hands and knees right in front of the stain. He just like puts his face right in it and smells. And because it was just mentioned that it could have been the water breaking, I was like, it was a little much for me, to be honest with
But
you.
what's your best case scenario there? It's somebody's like 4-day-old coffee. Like there's no
Exactly.
win to this, you know?
Your best case scenario is someone spilled a drink. That is
Right.
the absolute
Yep.
best case.
Which immediately I think of The Office as well. When Todd Packer leaves a present for Michael, his carpet. That's immediately what I was thinking of.
And then when he gets up, Jerry tells Joseph that he needs a pass from HR because he needs to go to the bathroom. And Joseph tells him it takes about a week to get the pass. But he's like, oh, I'll help you get through the door. This is kind of his opportunity to like also give Jerry a little bit of a mini tour. And the first thing he shows him is like the quiet room they have, which was like a really weird, just one-off scene. They open this room and it's kind of a like fairly well decorated. I can't really describe the room. It's kind of like a sensory room. There's just like a few people awkwardly hanging out in it. And Jerry asks if he can pee there. And then it just cuts to some dude who's like, I sometimes do. I was like, what is
Again,
this?
one of the few laughs.
It was very weird.
It's made me think, and I'm sure it's probably gone away now, but like pre-pandemic, you'd see like office buildings now where like, oh, and this is the library, and this is the iPad room, and this is the quiet room where you can nap during the day. We're like, wait, what is happening to when do you work? And then COVID happened, and I think that shit's all gone now. But people were getting like weird spaces in offices. We got laid off from a job once, and they were like, we opened this new office, but we laid you all off. Do you want to come see it? And we are like, no. And they were like, well, you have to pick up your last check here. It's like, shit. So we had to go there anyway, and then had to sit through the tour of them being like, and here's 25 iPads and beanbags for if you're having like a rough moment during the day. It's like, lady, just give me my I'm fired check, please, and let me out of here. This is a nightmare.
Like, joke's on you, Joe. This was a test, and you failed.
We were going to hire you back with double the money and double the benefits. Like, fuck your iPads.
Yeah, I've worked in places that have had that. We had a ping pong table and one of those air hockey, but not like the bubble hockey, not like air hockey. You know what I'm talking about? The figures?
No.
Yeah.
What's
the
bubble
shittier
hockey?
version.
It's a hockey game, but it's got a big dome over it.
Oh, the slide hockey?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a foosball
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
It's called bubble hockey.
Is it?
Yeah.
I never knew what it was called.
Oh, I just made that up.
No, I've heard it called bubble cocky.
Oh, so Nick plays bubble cocky at his
Bubble
job.
cocky. You should see it.
You guys were all going to go for Nick's house for the anniversary of the
I don't think I wanna see that.
hockey
The
together.
bubble cocky Super Bowl cup.
I'm sorry.
Winner picks the episodes for a year. Winner gets to not sit in for the episode of Cavemen. That would be worth playing bubble hockey with all of you.
I was thinking what we should do for Cavemen is what Jay suggested for Gordo's flash mob, and nobody watched the episode and just let him describe it the whole time.
If you don't think that I can't talk, I will make it a 5-hour episode.
The problem is it'll just lead to questions, which will just lead to him answering more questions. All of that's a problem. I don't know, we kill Gordo.
I think so.
Slightly. Sorry. It's going to be so inaudible because now I got to keep that in.
What the fuck happened? You had like a cough laugh fit. Cough laugh.
I coughed and I laughed and I snorted. It was not
A
good.
triple threat.
And I think a little poop coming over too.
I'm taking a little poop come out too.
It's poop again.
Oh, jeez.
It goes again.
Are you trying to kill him? Like, do you want to finish the episode? Gordo's going to go to the hospital if you keep mentioning the word poop.
He looks like
Oh, there it is. He's fucking dead.
I just
Great.
keep looking down at him.
I'm freezing. Stop. It hurts.
Oh shit.
Okay. All right. We're good.
Quick,
You
someone
kidding?
make a
water?
fart noise and see if he falls out of the chair.
Let's do that.
All right. All right. Because he has to go to the bathroom, they're still like going through the entire building. And you see this like mix of regular and the like quote unquote security shots of them wandering around. But now like Jerry really has to go because it's been taking a while. And eventually they find this door that Joseph can't seem to access. And he like tries his pass. Then he tries to use like the code, and then he uses his fingerprint. Then he tries to do like an eye scan, but like he has like a lazy eye. So when he comes up close, like his eyes like moving around.
That got me actually.
That was the only part.
Yeah.
I like that they kept escalating it. Rick, his finger didn't work because it was greasy from eating chips. His eye is lazy, so that didn't work.
And then finally, like Jerry just picks him up and like holds him like against the thing so his eye will scan. So I like that part, but that also kind of goes into we said like they let the joke run a little bit long. Like this was a very long scene of them trying to open the door.
30 seconds less, it'd be way funnier.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if it happened in the time span that you just described it, like it just was one after the other.
Yeah. If it was like a quick, like he's frantically trying to figure it out, but it was like a long attempt at either one. Like, oh, let me try it again.
Yeah.
And then when they finally do get through the door, though, like maybe like 5 steps later, they reach another door. And that's when you just get Jerry like, no. It was weird, though, because when he did it, they pan out of the building again. And that's when like they cut to like the like space again where it just says intelligence. So they flashed the title of the show like 2/3 into the episode.
Weird moment. But I mean, like, everyone's been there. We have to pee that badly. We're like, you are on the side a little bit. We were just like, what do you do?
The screen part I was okay with was the cutting out and like flashing the title of the show
That was
again.
probably
that
a
was weird.
commercial break.
Yeah, I
thing.
figured, but it was just, I don't know. And I don't know if things are formatted different overseas and how they cut their breaks and stuff, but Flag Me is weird.
I would have replaced that with just a black screen and gone to the next scene. And that
Yeah.
probably would have flowed a little better, yeah.
And then like, this is actually what I was talking about earlier when we talk about finding out about his character and why like he's not Dwight-like to me. The very next scene is like after he goes to the bathroom, he's like looking at himself in the mirror and he's trying to compose himself. And I was very like, what's this all about? Because he was really like, all right, like you got this. And there was no sign of like why he feels that way up until this moment. And that was the first time I was really thinking about what's going on with this character. There's obviously a lot more than you realize that is probably going to get unfolded later on. And did you guys not catch that little thing? It wasn't super obvious, but
No, I like that he was not being confident. Know what this reminded me a lot of, weirdly? I don't know how familiar everybody is with the movie True Lies.
I was more familiar with it 25 years ago, but
Sure, but Bill Paxton's character in it, where he's like lying to Jamie Lee Curtis, like he's this spy and he's all this, and then later on it turns out he's just lying to try to scam on her, and he's just like, I've got a little dick, it's pathetic. Like he just breaks down so hard. Like that's what this character seemed like to me.
I also feel like you've referenced him 2 weeks in a row.
That
Bill
sounds
Paxton?
right. R.I.P. He was.
He
a great
did
man.
mention Bill Paxton from True Lies when he was talking about someone being sleazy or something like that. I forget what it was.
Oh, mentioning Bill Paxton specifically from True Lies.
Yes.
He's done 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That is weird. Yeah, I should watch True Lies tonight. Maybe get out of my system.
Perhaps.
I did watch Tombstone the other day with him in it. That's neither here nor there. I'm just saying that out loud for some reason.
In case anyone was wondering.
I was wondering if I watched Tombstone recently. The answer is yes.
And then, anyways, after that, we get another cutaway scene of the printer not working and people trying to fix it. This was like the second or third time. I didn't mention it earlier, but it's happened a few times throughout the episode where they keep showing it over and over again. Chris heads over to Joseph's desk where it reveals that he's looking up Matthew McConaughey again. It's like, what?
Yeah, like, again, some of these jokes, and I get that the printer thing pays off, and the Matthew McConaughey thing, I guess, pays off. I just don't get why they jock it so hard for so long.
Because they're British.
That doesn't mean anything. What he said. Please explain your statement.
British is rapid fire. That's not like a
No.
long-
I mean, I'm sorry. The audience is British, so the Matthew McConaughey is an odd, knowable American. Like
But
he is
it's
to us.
odd to us who are Americans. It's still like, it's odd in general.
I'm more like, why do they keep the... If I understand the joke of Matthew McConaughey once, I don't understand the joke of him over and over again.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's just they hit you over the head with the same thing. Like
Maybe we're just not smart enough to understand this show. Maybe we just don't have the intelligence that we need. Yeah.
Perhaps that's it. And then Jerry runs in and he tells Chris that he figured out what the problem is there and that it's like morale. And he tells her to like play some music and says, hey, tell Alexa to play NSA Nasty Mix number 2. And then he asks for a gym as well and a sunroof. We mentioned the sun thing before, so apparently he's very much not comfortable with the amount of darkness there.
Did anybody look up to see if there was an NSA Nasty Mix number 2 on Spotify? I'm gonna look right now.
I did not, but I can always change one of my I only have like one playlist, to be honest with you, but I can change the name of it to NSA Nasty Mix too.
It's definitely not, because this show's wasn't a hit.
NSA Nasty Mix 2 playlist. Would you guys like to hear what's on it?
You can tell us. I don't think we could legally play anything on it.
No, but the first song is it's a jam. We got Regulate by Warren G and Nate Dogg, one of the best songs of all time, right? Then there's a Wu-Tang Clan, Notorious B.I.G., Tribe Called Quest, NWA, Dr. Dre. So at least it's hip-hop, but it's old hip-hop. So yeah, it's basically just a bunch of mainly like Eazy-E, Boys in the Hood, great song. Ice Cube. Yeah, so it's basically just late 80s, early 90s hip-hop.
Good to know. Probably has nothing to do with the show. Probably just some random person who...
No, but I will definitely put this on
yeah.
while making dinner tomorrow night, so that's good to know. We'll save that.
And then this is when Chris reminds him that, she's not his assistant. She's the GCHQ director of cybersecurity. She said Grandpapa built the bouncing bomb. Mother posed as a triple agent during the Cold War, while father came up with an idea called the internet. And she continues to put him in his place and makes it known that this is her department. And he then looks at her for a minute and says, I'm sorry. It looks like you stopped talking. My ears are still fucked from this flight. What was that important?
That was what kind of got me, that they swear on this show, because I thought Sky Network was like a TV show, but maybe they have different rules over there.
There's a lot of I don't know about theirs specifically, but every country has different views on swearing, and we are actually
Sky
more conservative
Network,
with that. Yeah.
Skynet, intelligence. Watch out.
Santa, Satan, same fucking guy. Yeah, I think in England you're able to swear and stuff because, the tabloids and stuff even have topless pictures in them and stuff, so you could swear beforehand.
Yeah, I think there's 2 F-bombs in this episode.
But that happened later though. Everything liberated up pretty quickly, but it happened after a period of very strict. The 70s weren't like that. You know what I mean? It came kind of on pretty rapidly. But Gordo, I thought you were gonna say you liked this scene a lot because he had juicy liquid ear like you did a couple weeks ago, which is one of the worst moments I've ever had speaking to you in my entire 30 years of knowing you.
And if you're wondering what he's talking about, you can go to our Instagram at S1E1 pod and watch the clip of Gordo's juicy ear.
Kind of juicy today, too.
But then there's another printer fixing cutaway scene, which takes us back to later in the day where you see Jerry in the office and he's talking to himself. He's like, you really going to take that from her, you little bitch? Just talking to himself.
I love him calling himself a little bitch.
And he's trying to hype himself up. And what I like too is later on, Chris is like walking by and she like looks over and can see what he's doing like from afar, and like she picks up on it, and so she kind of smiles to herself because she's like, even though he pretended he didn't hear anything she was saying, like obviously she got to him.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic, knowing that, because she's probably been worried since he started, acting like that, and now she gets to worry less, I think.
Yeah, she's probably fearful in general of the power shift, right? And that he's going to kind of take over. But now she at least knows that she's in his head a little bit.
What's confusing about this to me, though, is so Chris is not the top level, right? There has to be somebody above her who sent Jerry there, right?
Yeah.
And she never even thinks to, reach out to this person and say, hey, here's what's going on. She obviously doesn't like the dynamic that he brings, and she could probably talk to somebody about it, but she just, doesn't.
I think she's a rule follower, though. So if her superior said, like, hey, so-and-so is
True,
coming
yeah.
in, like, you kind of have to follow. So she's just like, well,
She doesn't want to come off as weak. She's in charge there, and she can't deal with the new guy that just showed up, and he's supposedly an asset. Like,
I think there's a little bit too where it's like a family lineage thing where she might be a little shaky and doesn't want to like disrupt things too much to lose this, generational position of, power they have within this organization of, these British spies maybe. Or I'm thinking way too much into it for this show. I don't know.
To be honest, yeah, it's like we do this all the time, right? We super deep dive and dissect these shows and try to, find the, the hidden meaning sometimes and connect the dots. And a lot of times I think the writing just isn't there and we're trying to make sense of something that
I think we nail it 9 out of 10 times. All right.
That's very possible as well. At that point, we get Joseph heading into Jerry's office while Jerry's still trying to hype himself up. And he's apologizing for Chris said, like, you must feel so awful. And Jerry tells him, I've been in the NSA for 25 years. And he's like, I basically know everything. I've overseen terrorist plots, cyber attacks, assassination attempts. And he's like, on you? He's like, no, not on me. And then he says he predicted 9/11, Afghanistan, and 7/7 is, I don't know what 7/7 is. Is that a thing?
7 and 7 is usually 7-Up mixed with Canadian,
with Seagram 7.
No, it
Canadian
was
whiskey.
the London bombings in 2005.
Oh.
That wasn't the subway attack, right?
Yeah, that's what got Muhammad Hassan fired from the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. That poor guy. That was bad timing.
Terrible timing. Yeah, a 7 and 7 is 7-Up and Seagram 7.
Right, which is way too sweet of a drink to mix with whiskey.
The preferred drink of Ryan Atwood.
Ryan
you
Atwood.
beat me to
Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't do an OC episode because it's not a sitcom, but I will say because of that show, there was a brief time period where I would order 7 and 7s. But most bars don't have 7-Up, so they're just going to go, okay, dude, and just give you like Sprite.
This Sierra Mist will have to do.
Exactly. I like the response with, you predicted them? Like, do you think I could have stopped them? Yeah, I think so.
I was like, did you have a hunch about 9/11? I don't know why, but I want that isolated as like my text message ringtone. It made me laugh so hard. Did you have a hunch about it?
Well, when he was like, yeah, he was talking about a good old American hunch or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I had a big hunch on 9/11. And then I had another hunch moments later. And I'm like, whoa, hold
The exact
on.
quote is, yeah, just this huge fucking hunch. And then another big hunch moments later. Just the fucking best joke. If you wanted me to know if it's a green light early, I'll give you a big fucking hunch right now. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you like everything.
Well,
That's not true.
well, anyways, right after that, Jerry kind of loosens his tie and opens up his shirt a little bit to show Joseph a scar that he has near kind of like his collarbone. And he said that's where he got shot. And he's trying to make him touch it. And Joseph tells him that he has a scar that looks exactly like that, which I couldn't pick up what he said, what it was from. I tried.
It's like a perma scar for when they removed like a wart or something like that,
right.
I think, yeah.
I really thought in this scene he was going to do that part in Ace Ventura when he's talking about the dog bite to Courtney Cox. And when she gets close to look at it, he goes, "Rawr." The fact that they didn't made me sad, but then I still laughed at Jim Carrey doing that like 30 years later.
I would have liked it more if he did the Ace Ventura talking with his butt.
I would have liked that too.
You a question.
That also would have made the scene with the glass door where they couldn't understand him way better if they did the whole like, whoa.
What I like about this bullet scene though is Joseph asked to see the exit wound. He's like, no, that part healed up just fine. So obviously he's lying about the scar and telling him that he got shot when he clearly didn't. And I think that all kind of goes into just a bunch. I think these little things tell more about the character than when he's actually like outwardly speaking to everybody.
Yeah, that was when I first realized he's just making everything up.
Yeah, for me it was that like bathroom scene when he's like trying to hype himself up earlier on. And then Jerry tells Joseph he needs like to get the morale up. And Joseph says, I'll do anything you need me to do. Treat me like I'm your PA. And he's like, I thought you were my PA.
It's also too like Joseph doesn't seem to know where he stands in this organization either.
No, I think he typically does, but he has this hero worship for Jerry before Jerry even showed up. So he's just so excited that he's there that's his main focus, is to just be around him, whether that's as an assistant or his friend or whatever, just to be around him seems to be his number one priority now.
But it also seems like they're pretty low priority too. Like even Christine, right? Like she's in charge of this group, but she's in charge of the dipshits, right? Like everyone's sort of trying to play up a little bit more than what they are.
Yeah.
Jerry heads back to the main area to call everyone like from the department over, and he proposes some like team building exercises. And he's like, "Can I get a yes, Jerry?" And like no one really replies. And then they start by playing Jerry Says. And he does like Jerry says, arms up, arms down. All right, you guys lose. And then he does like Jerry says one step to the left, but he motions right, so he makes everyone move the wrong way.
I would have fallen for that one.
Yeah, it's a clever move, yeah. But I like that he was like, I fucked you there, didn't I?
This is where he seems to have character too. Like the next one he says where he's like, all right, everybody undress. And he's like, no, don't do that. Have more respect for yourselves. It's like these little lines where Schwimmer's really genuinely funny.
Yeah, it goes back to his character is so inconsistent throughout the entire episode that saying stuff like that doesn't sink in with the way he acts at other points. It just doesn't, you never really know who this guy is.
Have him be serious the whole time or have him be the fun-loving goofball the whole time. You can't be both.
That's the point of him. He's trying to be serious at first, but he's not that kind of person. And I think towards the end of the episode, he's trying to be less serious because he realizes it's not working.
I don't know. I don't know. I can see how that makes sense, but I don't think that they did that with any storytelling outside of just us seeing him acting different.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The next one is like everyone's blindfolded and you just see everyone paired up and kind of like doing the arms out, touching at each other. Like, and he's like, all right, so for the next thing, I want you to all talk about the last time you had sex. And he asks Mary and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's been a while. And he's like, what did he say? I can smell your pheromones.
He says you smell her pheromones.
Yeah. And he goes, I bet you're nasty.
I bet you're filthy, though.
Filthy, yeah.
Yeah. I bet you're filthy, though. And she's like, no. He's like, I love how you deny it. That's hot.
Again, that's out of left field, too, though, because he's disgusted by her.
I know,
earlier.
He's totally disgusted by her earlier. And now he's like turned on, by the idea that she's a closet freak.
That's hot. Trim spa, baby. You want my cold dead body?
Stop. You can't make that like your catchphrase because that was so awkward the first time you did it.
Plus, it's already taken.
R.I.P. Anna Nicole. She's fantastic.
And then anyways, that's when Jerry asks Tuva the same question and she's just like 10:15 this morning. And the girl across from her is like, didn't you get here at 8?
Yep.
See, his dialogue with the other one should have been the dialogue to her. Like, it would have made more sense because he's already showed interest in her.
Right. Chris shows up and breaks it all up. And Chris and Jerry are kind of doing this back and forth where, no, everyone break up. And then he's like, no, everyone stay here. And they're both trying to be in control of the team. So there's a little bit like, again, I don't understand how there's this power issue because of their roles are so different. I don't understand how like that's going to be a problem.
This next scene, too, is one of those things where it happens in your lifetime sometimes, and you have an almost weird moment where you're like, you have to cite this forever. He calls himself a dashing American fuck fox. I was like, I'm going to be saying that whether I die tomorrow or in 80 years, I will call somebody a fuck fox in jest 1,000 times. And I'm always going to be like, intelligence!
Yeah, because... he says he's in a dashing American fuck fox in your prissy British hen house.
It's even better. It's an even better sentence, yeah.
And he says that he doesn't want to be there either, but they need to work together. But I don't think that's true. I think he does want to be there.
I don't think he has a choice but to be there. Like, I think that he's so annoying in the other office, he has no choice.
I think he was the bitch at the NSA, and they sent him away. And now he's like, this is my chance to reinvent myself.
I'm under the impression that he's like excited at the opportunity to be somewhere else secretly. Yeah.
I also feel like there's somebody he's related to that's very important, because why wouldn't if like he was just so annoying and, useless, or he'd be fired. Like, he doesn't need to work there. You know what I mean? Like,
he might be good at his job. That's the thing. He could be good at his job, but it's just annoying.
That's true.
Yeah, you can't be fired for being annoying.
I'd like to think, though, they probably put him in a basement somewhere for like 25 years, right? And now this is an adventure. That's why he's happy to be there. He likes these people. He likes being in England. He's away from what he's normally doing. Like, this is something fun no matter what, right? Even if it was menial, if tomorrow your work said, hey, go work for 6 weeks in England, it's an adventure. It'd be fun, right? You'd get to know these people. It'd be something different.
Yeah.
And you'd be a dashing American fuck fox, and it would be amazing.
Man, what a great shirt that would be. Can you wear that anywhere, though?
No.
I mean, we need to get them made for when we do our meetups. We can all have them together.
That's like, if I was to ever leave the country to do anything, what a great shirt. You're traveling abroad with a shirt that says Dashing American Fuck Fox.
It's the kind of shirt that will get you not hired for a job in like 8 years. Like, somebody will pull that picture up from your Instagram and be like, yeah, I'm sorry. We can't go forward with this.
It's only if you try to get into a British hen house, though.
That's true.
True.
Well, I'm sorry, sir, but your services are no longer needed at British Hen House Incorporated. It seems to me that this is not going to be a good fit.
At this point of the episode, this is when Jerry thinks the best way for them to all bond now is if Chris eats one of the jelly beans. And again, I don't know why it's like a callback, why he brings these jelly beans to begin with, why this is his peace offering. I don't know if that's something that gets explained later in the series. He really wants to feed her a jelly bean, and she says no, and then everyone starts chanting, jelly bean, jelly bean. And finally, she's like, fine, I'll have one.
He's trying to feed her that, like,
He started to put it into her mouth.
And and that was so awkward because she just kept her mouth shut, and it's just a shot of him just rubbing a jelly bean along her lips while she's not opening her mouth.
It was like Michael Scott trying to feed Kevin the broccoli.
Yeah. But eventually she swipes it away and then takes one out of the giant jug by herself and eats it, and everyone just starts cheering.
And you get that she's like sort of into it too, right? That she's like, I think that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, if she's king of the dipshits, that she kind of knows her position isn't exactly, she's not calling the shots here.
Right.
There was an element of like wanting to be part of the team in that moment, I think.
Yeah, she accepted the fact that what he was doing is maybe not a bad idea.
But it also might be fun for her too, the same way
Right.
it's fun for him to have an adventure. He's going to shake things up a little, right? Somebody new comes in the office and they want to make things a little different for you. It makes the day interesting.
During the excitement of her eating the jelly bean, Jerry goes right back into playing Jerry Says and just yells, Jerry Says fall. And then Mary, who's still blindfolded, falls into the printer, which finally fixes it. So that was like the payoff to this episode-long joke. And you just hear someone go, Jerry fixed the printer.
See, I appreciate the follow-up and everything. I just don't think it needs to be mentioned as many times. I think it would have been funnier. And then the follow-up of what comes out of the printer, I think is a great joke.
Printing out photos of Matthew McConaughey that Joseph probably tried printing days
ago.
ago.
Same photo over and over.
He probably kept trying to print it and it wasn't coming out of the printer, so he probably just kept hitting print over and over again.
If they hadn't made the joke so many times, it would have been so much funnier. But it still worked. I still think it's funny. And the stinger's really good too.
Yeah, and it ends with him saying like, "This is why they sent me here." See, and then it starts to go into a quick piece of the credit, and immediately the stinger hits. And I thought this was really weird. Actually, it was like the final shot, it's the end of the night, really, and someone's leaving, and Joseph's like alone at a desk holding a paper shredder, just shredding all these photos of Matthew McConaughey that printed out.
Which somebody had mentioned him being like the Dwight earlier. Joseph being the Dwight, not Joseph. I'm sorry, Jerry being the Dwight earlier. And the episode literally ends with how the episode of The Office begins with Dwight with the shredder.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was a punishment. They were like, they found all those, and now you can stay and shred all these.
Well, as long as he didn't put a shopping bag in there, he'll be fine.
And it was a weird perspective of from the inside of the shredder, so you just see the picture coming out at you. It was a very interesting way to end the episode, to say the least.
Yes, it was.
I concur.
You are correct, sir.
But yeah, that concludes Intelligence. I don't know if there's anything else that you guys wanted to say in regards to the show before we move forward, but this is your opportunity.
Yeah, nothing. Let's greenlight or cancel.
Yeah, let's just move right on.
I have a big fucking hunch that it's time for greenlight or cancel.
All right. So I'm going to go in the order I see you guys in. Ferg, we're starting with you.
All right. So I just want to say before I start, this show is it's beautifully shot. I don't know if the camera work is really clear. It doesn't look like a sitcom or like a TV show. It almost looks like a movie at parts. And I talked a lot of shit about the show. It's really not as bad as I made it out to be, but it's not good either. And I don't think they knew what it was. And I think they threw a lot of shit at the wall, and some stuck, some didn't. The fact that they didn't know the character yet or anything like that, it just didn't work for me. And I was bored for a lot of it. So it's going to be a cancel for me.
Nick.
Yeah, it was a strange show. I didn't really know. I actually watched the pilot twice because I watched it a while back when I thought we were doing it and we ended up not doing it, and so I had to watch it again. I thought maybe you guys were a little hypercritical of it at times. It's not like, I don't know how to explain it really. It's different in a sense that like it's not shot like a regular sitcom, obviously, but it's obvious that that's what they're trying to do. I think it does have potential. We've seen plenty of shows that we love where the pilot isn't amazing. This show, I believe, is on its second season, but it does that weird European, like 6-episode seasons. And I don't know if they've been greenlit for a third season yet, but I'm going to greenlight it because I do want to watch the second episode and see if this gets any better. I'm on the fence, kind of like we were last week. I don't know which way it'll end up going, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt with a green light to start.
Joe.
Yeah, I think I could agree with Nick almost word for word there, right? Like, I was being a little more harsh on it. I rewatched it again, so I saw the episode twice. The second time, I was like, I don't know, I think I like this more, aside from a few jokes here and there that I was like, oh, this is good. I think we may have been a little too critical on it, but I also feel like sometimes we'll greenlight a show because we think that there's promise for other episodes, right? The point of a pilot is, do I want to see another episode? I think this reminds me of a show like The Office or Parks and Rec, where I'm like, the bones of something super funny are there, especially with the type of weirdo ensemble cast, and you really can't judge the entirety of it on one episode. So I do want to watch another one. I want to see how it goes. I always liked David Schwimmer. I mean, when we did Friends, I even said, like, I don't love this show, but I think he's funny. And I think that translates well, and I would for sure greenlight it.
Gordo. Getting a little emotional.
I am getting a little emotional.
He's all choked up about it.
No, I'm going to cancel this. I agree with Berg that it was shot very beautifully. Things just lasted a little bit too long for me, and not in the funny Monty Python way, in the just hurry up with it. Hurry up with the gag. I don't know. It just does not do it for me. It's a cancel. I got nothing else to say. It's a cancel.
Ooh, tiebreaker, Joe.
Tiebreaker, and it's a British show, so I think we know how it goes.
Yeah.
I have not canceled every British show we've done.
All but one.
It's the J-Way.
However, I am going to cancel this one. And it's for a few reasons. I didn't think the show is terrible, but I watched it twice. I watched it like once over just straight up, and then a second time when I do all my notes and stuff. And I just found it very boring. It was really hard for me to just focus and watch the show. I didn't feel like a lot was happening. And like I said, David Schwimmer's character, I just felt like I didn't know who this guy is at all. And I don't think that was an intentional move. I think that it was just lazy writing, or he doesn't know how to play the character yet, but something just wasn't clicking with him. And I didn't understand who I'm watching. And when that's the main character, it was making it hard for me to follow along, because I don't really know if I'm supposed to like this guy or hate this guy. Not a lot, like, for me that made me curious about episode 2. Now, I didn't hate it. So if you guys keep watching it and say, hey, you know what? It actually gets pretty good. You should check it out. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would revisit it if someone guided me in that direction. But on my own, having just watched the first episode, no, there's not really any interest in watching anymore. So yeah, it's going to be a cancel for me. So, when all said and done, guys, it's only 2 out of 5. So sorry to Intelligence. You do not get the green light from us. You do not live to see episode 2. So again, apologies, but that's just the way it goes.
Rest in peace.
We've made the Schwim sad.
So yeah,
Breaks my heart.
But yeah, sorry. But in any event, guys, go to S1E1pod.com. That's where you can find the links to everywhere to follow us and on social media, or where to listen to us. S1E1pod.com. Again, Twitter, Instagram, S1E1pod. Subscribe, follow us, spread the word, let everyone know that we exist. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you like and don't like about the show. Please leave a review. That's really big for us. So on Spotify and on iTunes, you can leave reviews. So we encourage you to do that. But engage in our social media. Tweet at us. Comment on our Instagram posts. It does a lot for us. Means a lot. We like to interact with you guys. But that's all the time we have for this week, guys. Catch you next week. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mantis.
The show was so boring. Joe had nothing to quote from the episode.
I think you got the best. I got a little dick. It's pathetic.